Have you ever woken up feeling completely drained? Like something invisible is pulling the life out of you, and no matter how much you rest, you never feel restored. Your mind is foggy, your heart is heavy, and somehow your money keeps disappearing without explanation. You look around and nothing seems physically wrong, but deep down, something feels spiritually off. What if I told you that what you're going through isn't just emotional exhaustion or bad luck? What if the real reason your energy is low, your peace is gone, and your finances are constantly under pressure is because you are under a spiritual attack, and the most dangerous part, you don't even know it's happening. This is not superstition. It's not paranoia. This is spiritual warfare, and it's very real. Right now, at this very moment, there is a battle being fought over your mind, your money, your calling, and your future. A war that can't be seen with natural eyes, but one that leaves real damage. Sleepless nights, fear, confusion, blocked opportunities, financial holes you can't explain. These aren't random. They are symptoms of something deeper. The Bible says in John 10:10, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy." That thief isn't just a metaphor. It's an active force working to drain you of everything God gave you. Your strength, your clarity, your joy, your finances, and the enemy's most effective weapon, making you believe it's all in your head. Many believers live their whole lives not realizing they're being robbed in the spirit. They go to church, they pray, they tithe, and yet they never see breakthrough. Why? Because the warfare is subtle. It doesn't come with a warning. It shows up in the form of chaos, frustration, and cycles of defeat that never seem to break. You're not cursed, you're not forgotten, but you may be uninformed, and what you don't know is already costing you. Spiritual attacks don't always look like horror movies. Sometimes they look like everything going wrong at once. Opportunities vanish. Energy disappears. You feel stuck, powerless, and confused. You try to pray, but the words don't come out. You try to believe, but the doubt is louder. You start questioning yourself, and even questioning God. But let me tell you something. God didn't create you to live in constant defeat. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians 10:4, "The weapons we fight with are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds." That means you are not helpless, you are not unarmed, but you must understand what you're fighting. This video is not just information, it's activation. You're about to uncover what has been hidden from you, the signs that your spirit is under siege, the silent ways the enemy is draining your energy and delaying your purpose, and most importantly, how to fight back with spiritual intelligence, authority, and power. If you're still watching this, that means something in your spirit is awake. You can feel it. Something is stirring. A sense that this isn't just another video. It's a wake-up call. The darkness thrives in your silence, but the moment you speak truth, it begins to lose power. And if what you've heard so far has already touched something inside you, don't wait. Engage with this now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Not just to support. This is spiritual resistance. This is how we stand together. This is how we break the silence, because what comes next will expose the strategy of the enemy, and once you see it, you'll never be blind again. Stay with me, because now we go deeper. His name was Lucas, just an ordinary man, hardworking, honest, the kind of man who showed up every day, did the right things, and kept his faith alive the best he could. But one morning, something shifted. He woke up with a heaviness that words couldn't explain. Not physical, not mental. It was something deeper. He told himself it was just fatigue, maybe too much work. But the feeling didn't go away. In fact, it grew. Days passed, then weeks, and suddenly, Lucas found himself overwhelmed by an invisible pressure. He'd open his eyes and feel like he hadn't rested at all. The fire in his spirit? Gone. His prayers felt hollow. His worship turned mechanical. And the strange part? There was no reason. Nothing had changed on the outside, but inside something was breaking. Then came the money problems, unexplained debt, lost opportunities. Doors that were once open now slammed shut. One by one, blessings vanished. It was as if something, or someone, was draining him. And while he struggled to make sense of it, the real battle raged far beyond what his natural eyes could see. What Lucas didn't know is that he was under a spiritual attack. A silent, calculated, demonic attack designed to cripple his destiny and rob him of his God-given inheritance. It wasn't random. It wasn't a coincidence. It was spiritual warfare, and the enemy had launched a full-scale assault against his identity, his energy, and his future. But here's what most people never realize. Spiritual attacks rarely look like what Hollywood shows. They're subtle, strategic, invisible. They come not with screams, but with silence, not with chaos, but with subtle exhaustion, the kind that creeps in slowly until one day you stop dreaming, you stop praying, you stop believing. That's how energy drains happen in the spiritual realm. It starts small, a delay here, a disappointment there. Then come the signs: sleepless nights, irrational fear, sudden arguments, financial sabotage, a numbness in your faith walk. You begin to second-guess your purpose. You question if God is even listening. That's not life. That's warfare. The Bible makes it clear. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. And yet, thousands live every day ignoring the most dangerous war they've ever faced. They treat it like bad luck, or just a phase, while their peace, their finances, and their joy are being stolen in plain sight. Lucas was one of them, and he's not alone. There are millions walking around today like spiritual hostages, exhausted, discouraged, and disconnected from the voice of God. They look alive on the outside, but inside they're spiritually fainting. Their souls are under siege. This is the invisible war for your destiny, a war that uses silence as a weapon, doubt as a tool, fatigue as a chain. And if you're not spiritually awake, if you're not armored in truth and alert to the signs, the enemy will plant lies in your mind and make you believe they're your thoughts. He'll isolate you, wear you down, and convince you that you're just tired, just unlucky, just forgotten. But it's not true. It's never been true. And that's why what comes next in this video is so important. Because once you recognize the patterns, once you understand how the enemy attacks and why, everything changes. And that's exactly what I'm about to show you. The spiritual war doesn't always start with an explosion. Sometimes it begins with a whisper, a shift so subtle you barely notice, until it becomes your new normal. And by the time you realize you're under attack, so much has already been taken. That's why discernment is everything. The enemy thrives when you don't know he's there. But even the most calculated demonic strategies leave footprints. You just have to know how to see them. Let's talk about the signs. Because once you recognize the signs of spiritual attack, you can stop living like a victim and start fighting like someone who understands spiritual reality. One of the most common symptoms is extreme fatigue that has no physical explanation. You sleep, but you don't rest. You wake up tired, heavy, and without energy. It feels like something invisible is draining your life force. That's not just being overworked. That is energy theft. In the realm of spiritual warfare, energy is currency. And when the enemy can't destroy you directly, he'll exhaust you until you surrender your own strength. But it doesn't stop there. Another sign is repeated financial hardship, especially when it makes no sense. You're faithful, you work hard, you give, you pray, but it's like your income slips through your fingers. Unexpected bills, opportunities that fall apart at the last minute, debts that seem to multiply. It begins to feel like there's a curse over your money. But what's happening is a spiritual interference. Your finances are being targeted, because the enemy knows that if he can keep you in survival mode, he can silence your voice, stall your purpose, and keep you too distracted to see the attack for what it is. And then there's the silence, the one that terrifies even the strongest believers. You go to pray, but the words feel empty. You open the Bible, but nothing stirs. You try to worship, but your heart feels disconnected. It's like there's a wall between you and heaven. That's a spiritual fog. That's the third sign, the loss of spiritual clarity. You start wondering, is God even hearing me? And that doubt is the most dangerous part, because once you stop seeking, you stop receiving. The goal of this kind of attack isn't just to block your prayers, it's to make you stop praying altogether. These patterns aren't random, they're coordinated, and if you've experienced even one of these signs, don't ignore it. But if you felt all three, this is not a coincidence. It's confirmation. You are in the middle of a spiritual battle. You need spiritual discernment. You need to protect what's left of your strength before it gets completely drained. This is where spiritual protection becomes non-negotiable, because when you let down your guard, you give permission for spiritual intruders to walk freely through the doors of your soul, and the longer they stay, the more they destroy. But here's something powerful that most people don't realize. Even your awareness is already a counterattack. Just by identifying the patterns, You're beginning to reclaim spiritual ground. Every act of recognition weakens the enemy's hold. That's why I want you to do something simple but significant. If what I'm saying resonates with you, if you've seen these signs in your own life, I want you to write in the comments right now, "I perceive." Don't underestimate this. That declaration is not just a comment. It's a spiritual move. It's a signal to heaven that you're no longer asleep, that you're waking up to the war around you. And what happens next? That's where the power starts to shift. Lucas had a choice to make. He could keep ignoring the patterns, living each day under silent oppression, or he could confront the invisible chains head on, and something inside him, maybe desperation, maybe faith, maybe the final ounce of strength he had left, pushed him to act. He stopped blaming circumstances. He stopped accepting exhaustion as normal. He got on his knees and asked God a dangerous question: "What am I not seeing?" And that prayer changed everything. He discovered what many never even imagine. There was a spiritual curse operating in his bloodline, something spoken over his family generations ago, a word, a vow, a pact, still echoing in the spiritual realm and influencing his present. It had wrapped itself around his life, distorting his finances, confusing his mind, and silencing his spirit. It wasn't obvious. It was subtle. But when he looked back at his father's life and his grandfather's life, the same patterns repeated: lack, collapse, delay, misery masked as normal. That's when Lucas realized he had been carrying a battle that didn't even start with him. But he also understood something far greater. He had the authority to end it. And so he prayed. Not just a quick prayer, not just empty words. He prayed with precision. He declared a prayer for protection, with intention and direction. He called the name of Jesus over his house. He renounced every curse, every word spoken in darkness, every spiritual agreement made without his knowledge. He broke it all in faith, and in that moment, something shifted. He felt the atmosphere change, like a weight lifted, like something in the invisible realm had been unlocked. And over the next few days, the signs became undeniable. His energy came back. He woke up refreshed. He could think clearly, pray deeply, hear the whisper of God again. The fog lifted. Then, the breakthrough began. A financial opportunity that had been stuck for months suddenly moved. Debt that seemed immovable started clearing. Clients, connections, open doors, everything began to align. It wasn't coincidence. It was a financial breakthrough initiated by spiritual authority. God was moving. The flow returned because the curse had been broken. And beyond all of that, something deeper happened. Lucas experienced what can only be described as spiritual healing. The emotional exhaustion began to fade. The anxiety that used to keep him awake at night dissolved. The spiritual disconnection was replaced with clarity, intimacy, peace. He felt whole for the first time in years. He didn't just get relief, he got restoration. And maybe, as you're hearing this, you're starting to recognize that some of what you're facing might not be natural either. Maybe it's not just life. Maybe your energy loss, your blocked finances, your emotional dryness. Maybe they're all connected to something deeper, something spiritual, something inherited. But here's the good news. You can break it. Yes, you. Right now. You have access to the same spiritual authority that set Lucas free. The same God who delivered him is ready to deliver you. But you need to step into that moment with faith, with voice, with boldness. This is not the time for passive hope. This is the moment to pray with fire, to declare your freedom, to reverse the curse and activate the blessing. And I want to ask you something, because this is the first step to healing. Which area are you fighting the hardest battle right now? Is it your energy, your finances, or your spiritual connection? Drop it in the comments below. Say it out loud. Write it as a declaration. Let the spiritual realm know you're no longer silent. Say, "This is my war." Because when you name the battle, heaven starts preparing your victory. There comes a moment in every spiritual battle when you either collapse under the weight of it all or rise up into who you were always meant to be. That moment for Lucas was the day he said, "Enough." When he recognized the spiritual attack, confronted the hidden curses, and prayed with authority, everything began to change, not just around him, but within him. He didn't just receive temporary relief, he experienced spiritual deliverance, and that deliverance created a new version of him. The old Lucas, the tired one, the confused one, the broke and spiritually numb one, He didn't survive the battle. Because when true deliverance comes, it doesn't leave you the same. It awakens you. It repositions you. It upgrades you into alignment with heaven. Lucas became a man who understood biblical prosperity not as a number in his bank account, but as a way of life. Peace that can't be shaken. Wisdom that governs every step. Restored relationships, emotional balance, and financial stability rooted in purpose, not pressure. This transformation was never about luck. It was about access. Lucas accessed what had been available all along, the power of God's promises, the clarity that comes from knowing who you are in the kingdom, the authority to break cycles, and most of all, the spiritual awakening that reminds you, you were never created to live bound. You were created to reign. And if you're still here watching, it means something inside you is stirring. That's not by accident. You didn't land on this video by luck or scrolling randomness. You were led here because your new version is ready to emerge too. You don't need to wait for a miracle to fall from the sky. The miracle already lives in you, the moment you believe and act on it. This is your invitation to stop living like a victim of invisible forces and step into the identity of someone spiritually equipped, aware, and powerful. Because yes, spiritual warfare is real. Yes, demonic attacks can sabotage your life, but there is a truth stronger than any curse, a light brighter than any darkness, and a calling on your life that no demon can cancel. The moment you stand up in that authority, your past stops defining your future. This isn't just about information. It's about transformation. What began as a whisper of fatigue, a cloud of confusion, or a string of financial losses, it ends with clarity, restoration, and power. You were born for alignment with divine purpose. You were born to carry the principles of biblical prosperity, not just for yourself, but to become a vessel of breakthrough for others. And here's the part the enemy fears the most: your awakening. Because when you wake up spiritually, when you become aware of the battle and learn how to win, you no longer live just to survive. You live to multiply freedom. And today is that awakening. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to say, this cycle ends with me. Willing to believe that there is more for your life. Willing to reclaim your focus, your finances, your faith. The same way Lucas crossed the threshold from bondage to breakthrough, you are now standing at that same door. And on the other side of this awakening is something even greater. Because tomorrow, I'm going to reveal something that has been hidden from the church for centuries. Something that was buried under tradition and religion. Something ancient, sacred, and shockingly practical. The Code of Solomon. A divine key to wisdom, wealth, and spiritual power that many have read, but few have understood. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. That code has the power to shift not just your finances, but your entire spiritual reality. So here's what I want you to do. Not as a favor to me, but as a declaration to yourself and to heaven. Like this video right now. Subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone you know is in a silent war. And activate the notification bell, because what's coming next could be the turning point you've been praying for. In fact, I want you to comment below and declare it. My spiritual awakening has begun. Or if you feel bold, say, the old me is gone. These aren't just words, they're keys, and keys open doors. The door is open now. Walk through it.